Alrighty, well, today I have to do, not necessarily, well, I gotta modify them, but I've gotta make some extra pieces for these bin lifting brackets. We had a little issue where when they were on the bin and you were jacking on it, they'd kind of try to pull out a little bit like that. And I don't necessarily think it's a height of the bracket issue. I think it's a support issue. So what I'm going to do is I got some steel plates cut, and I'm going to make some brackets with the same bolt pattern so you can come in from the inside of the bin and sandwich it. So you can you have more surface area to act on with the bolts instead of just a bolt and a washer on the inside. So, and while I'm at it, because a lot of guys were asking about this the other day, this is our Bridgeport. I can't remember, it's a 60 something. I want to say it's a 1966, but don't quote me on that. And don't ask me the model either, I couldn't tell you that either. But Dad got this and our 13-inch LeBlanc lathe from a motorcycle shop that went out of business because Dad needed it for his business. And so he got a deal on both of them. And when he got it, it was just a plain Jane Bridgeport, none of the fancy stuff. And he added, it's got a Sony Millman digital readout. It's got servo actuators on the X, Y, and Z axis. It's got a Kurt vise and a Kurt power lock automatic drawbar on it, which is really nice because this thing uses tapered collets like that screw up into the quill, and without that it's just a wrench. So this makes tool changing a whole lot quicker. And if you guys ever have a chance to buy one of these things, do it, because you'll never know how you ran a farm without one. Or anything for that matter. The only problem is they don't really, for as old as they are, they still don't go cheap, because even though they've been, as far as production machining goes, they've been replaced by CNC, 3-axis CNC lathe and 3-axis CNC mills, because they got automatic tool changers and you can program your part pattern in. You have an untrained person standing there at the door, they throw a part in, hit the clamp button, hit the start button, the machine will go in there, do all its rotations, do all its crap, spit the part back out, done. Where you have to actually have somebody who's got some knowledge of how to run a Bridgeport. You can't just get an average Joe off the street to run one of these. So I honestly couldn't even tell you if Bridgeport's still in business, because like I say, they've pretty much been superseded by technology. But even if to try to buy an old one used, you're still going to pay quite a bit, because these things are almost like antique tractors for machinists. There's guys that'll collect these things. There's there's people that restore them, and home machinists and like auto body shops and restoration places and all that stuff still like to have these things around, because once you know what you're doing, these things are easy as hell to run. So, but yeah, that's our Bridgeport, and then that's our lathe. The lathe is older than this. I can't remember how old that thing is. Back when America actually knew how to build stuff, and we built the stuff that we use to build other stuff, but now we don't even build stuff, so we have no reason to build anything that help us build stuff. So, But anyway, I gotta find, because of how I did it the other day, you were a little too low. I wonder if this one's tall enough. That's taller than what I had the other day. So I'll try that. Now, these pieces aren't quite 6 inches. I had to, because the pieces, like the scrap chunks I cut them out of, were 23.5 inches long, so I had to cut them 5 7/8 to get everything to work out right. Or no, they were 23 and. Either way, they're cut 5 7/8. I can't remember how long. They were 23 1/4 is what it had to have been to work for that math to work out. But either way, long day at work. So what I'm actually going to do to get it to where my dimensions aren't all screwy is I've already got it zeroed out. It's zeroed out off the back of the vise and off this end stop because when I was using it the other day. So what I'm actually going to do is take it back to zero, back it up a 1/16 of an inch, and re-zero it. That way all my numbers come out even, and I'm not trying to work with a stupid dimension like 5 7/8. So back to zero, and then need to, where's that? Need to take it to 0625, or well, it'd be negative. And then zero it out, and now I'm zeroed as if this was a 6-inch part. So I need to remember this one. Oh, and I also took it, this is a 4-inch plate, so I took it and centered it at 2 inches and zeroed it back out. That way I can work positive and negative on either side of my line. One thing you got to do with these is if you're, it's been really humid lately and the cowlets have been getting a little surface rust on them, as well as the inside of the quill on the mill. So we've been having trouble with cowlets sticking. So you got to make sure when you're using them that you take some emery cloth or Scotch-Brite and just knock the rust off. Otherwise you'll play hell getting it back out of the quill. So I need 1 inch, 3 inches, and 4 inches. And I remember, so I need one at 1 inch, 3 and 4, and that'll get me that. And then I need to go 625 either side of center. So come over an inch. Then $6.25. I'm also working these things 2 plates at a time, which you normally wouldn't do if you're trying to get a precision part, but for what these things are, it's no big deal. Also been having trouble with this particular drill bit doing that. I don't know why. I know we got a count this one fits in. That's felt better. And 1 to 3 inches. Negative 625. And go to 5 inches. And 625. Switch to an end mill, which needs a different cowlet. And slot the holes. Now technically, since this end mill is fluted, let's hold on here. Show you real quick. So yeah, the flutes on that end mill have flutes in them. Technically, since this end mill's fluted like that, I can just stick it in the hole, lock the coil, run one way, run the other. But if you move over, peck it, the end mill just runs a whole lot cooler, and it's almost just as fast. So This is the nicest thing about any brand of mill, for that matter, over a drill press. Once you got your hole pattern laid out, you can go to any other hole and then come right back to the one you did and be right smack over the center over the top of it again. So you can power tap holes, all sorts of fun stuff. Sorry about that. And there you have it. One set of plates done. Got to make 2 more like this, and then I got to make 4 for that other set of lifting brackets, because that 3-inch corrugation's got a different bolt pattern in it. So anyway, that's that. So I guess that does it for this one. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Okay, I lied, I'm back. I figured there was going to be a lot of guys that learned how the hell I learned to run this thing. So I figured it'd be a good time for a little story time. Basically, how I started doing all this was Dad started his own business when I was, shoot, I think 6 or 7 years old. But when he did it, he stayed working for the machine shop that he'd been working at. And so basically, he would come home from work, eat dinner, turn around and go to work. Because he'd have to go out and do the jobs for his business. So I basically never got to see him when I was a little, well, I got to see him when I was a little kid, but basically the only way I'd get to see him when I was a little kid was if I went to work with him. So I spent most of my childhood, I basically grew up in tool and die shops and machine shops and you name it, wherever Dad was doing work. And so basically that's what I would do on the weekends. I'd go to work with Dad when I wasn't in school. And when he was working at home, or usually when he was home, he was still out here working in the shop. So basically, what I would do is I had this little 12-inch wooden step stool, still got it, and I would literally stand right there on that step stool because I was short enough that I couldn't even see up over the table. And I would basically stand there for hours on end watching Dad run this mill because he was trying to catch up on the work that he couldn't get done during the week for his business because he was still working in the machine shop. And after a while, or when I got a little bigger, I'd stand, or Dad would get the parts and everything set up, and I'd stand here on my step stool because I was so stinking short I couldn't even reach the lever to run the mill. And he'd stand there because even on the step stool I couldn't reach up and turn the on-off switch. So he'd stand there and run the on-off switch and the brake, and I'd sit here and punch holes or whatever. And then after a while, or once I learned how to run it, I would start making simple stuff. Like if it only had one move in it or one tool change or something, he'd let me do that. And it was basically the same thing, or the same way I learned to weld. Because welding is one of those things that nobody can teach you. You basically got to teach yourself. But the same deal when I was a little kid and Dad was out here welding, because it was the only way I got to spend time with him. Dad had an old welding helmet that didn't fit him anymore. And it was actually too big for me, so I'd have to wear one of my hats backwards and clamp the welding helmet all the way down, and the thing would still almost flip off my head. And I would stand out here for hours and watch Dad weld. That one took a little while though, because when I was a little kid, for some weird reason, I was scared to death of that welder. It scared the living shit out of me. So it took forever for Dad to actually get me to stay out here while he was welding. But once I did, I thought it was the coolest damn thing in the world, because you were melting two pieces together into one piece. And so that's basically how I learned to weld, was watching Dad weld. And then finally one day I needed something welded and he wasn't here, and I was getting tired of waiting, so I was like, fuck it, I'll try it myself. And it was actually on that 540 planter I got. I needed to do one of the row units had been ripped off of it at one point. And I had it all tore apart and had the bracket cut apart so I could get it welded back square, and Dad was nowhere to be around, or nowhere to be found. So I took it upon myself to weld it, and it actually turned out pretty good. But I learned watching Dad do it. Hell, screwed up as our society is now, if the government would have seen him doing that, they'd have probably taken me away claiming child abuse. But hell, I think that was the best childhood. Nowadays, all kids know is freaking video games and TV. And then when they get to be older, and it's finally time to decide what the heck they want to do with their lives, they don't know what to do, because all they've ever known is TV and video games. They don't know what they're interested in. But I knew right off the bat what I wanted to do. And I'll be the first to admit I can't do what Dad does. I can do the detail work, but I hate doing it. Because I'm more get it done, I want to go play with it kind of thing. plus some of the crap he's got to put up with, because the special machine industry is kind of at a crossroads right now, because you got a bunch of idiot kids coming out of school, or coming out of management school, and or in either management school and they're going to be managers, or engineering school, and they think they know everything about everything because they were taught in college that they know everything about everything. Trust me, I know, because I had to take a management class in college, and man, that scared the shit out of me. But there is a lot of machine shops around here where the original owners finally got to that age where it was time to retire, and these college kids came in and tried to take over, and basically they don't know how to run a machine shop, because they try to run it like a production facility, but a machine shop is not a production facility. It's a bunch of one-off widget type stuff. And since it's not normal, I mean, you might, like Dad's built, the machine shop he built, they made axle straighteners for Caterpillar. They made a bunch of roll form mills for the steel mills over in Gary. They made, any of you guys that are truckers and you got aluminum rims on your truck and they're Alcoas, Dad probably built the rim line that spun those rims down in, I think that's South Carolina, where their rim plant is. They built all sorts of special machines for the automotive industry. They built the spinner that spins the cans for the catalytic converters on GM vehicles from the early 2000s. They'd basically insert the clay catalyst, and then the catalyst, and then they'd take the tube and spin both ends down to create the flanges to butt the exhaust pipe up to. He's got machine or axle straighteners at Caterpillar. He's got all sorts of shit work down at Caterpillar. And then now running his own business, he's got all sorts of one-offs. He's got stuff at NASA. He's got stuff at Pratt Whitney. He's got stuff at Rolls-Royce in England. He's got stuff at General Electric. But yeah, since none of that, since special machine building is not, it's not like building a car or something where, okay, you need this many parts right now, and it's going to run down the assembly line, and you're going to build this many units per day. It's not like that. And basically, it's kind of a lost art knowing how to run a machine building shop. And he has to put up with a lot of bullshit from some of the younger guys that come in and think they know shit and actually don't. So I could never put up with it, which is why I farm. But anyway, that's just a little bit of story time. So don't know if that was rambling or not. I kind of lost track of time, actually, but I guess that does it for this one. We'll catch you guys on the next one.